So we'll call the meeting to order at 6:03. Valerie, is there anything, review the agenda for removal or adjustment of any items?
Well, I believe we have the town report quotes that we just received recently this afternoon that I think would be worthwhile to take action on tonight.
Okay. Where do you want to add that?
And then we do not have the minutes from December 11th.
Okay.
And we barely had the minutes from December 5th.
Town report can be another if you want.
Under other?
Yeah.
About a 1A or 1B or.
Do we have to add the stuff about Chris in here or something?
It'll be under
Exactly.
budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else to add or adjust?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Okay.
Alrighty. So we will have an overview of our Zoom meeting operations and procedures, rules for participation. Online, please mute your microphone until you're recognized by myself, the chair, or someone else here in the room. Thank you. And public forum. We have 5 minutes per person for public forum for an item that's not already on our agenda. Anyone here this evening for public forum? John?
Good evening. Real
Good
quick.
evening.
Hi, I hope everybody's staying dry today. Holy moly. Real quick, the street light down at the pump house is still flickering. And I know that's
That's our
kind of
new Christmas.
a GMP thing, but I wonder, it's old business. It's been a couple of years, it flickers a lot at night. It's when the leaves are down, it's disconcerting, but I just wanted to know if there's anything you guys could do about that. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Pump house flicker. Anything else?
That can go along with the ones that are on the first bridge.
They're always out.
No,
Yes.
those aren't GMPs.
Why don't we just have a lighting agenda item on every.
Right, yeah, that's a state issue.
Anyone else for public forum this evening? Nope. All right. Moving on. Department head roundtable. Hey, Meredith. Why don't you start? Because I think
Great.
besides Bruce, you're the only
Well,
one here.
we just wrapped up our holiday events through the Bristol Rec Departments, and we had about 147 trolley riders.
Wow.
It was great. Pat Palmer's amazing. And we had Santa, and everybody loves Santa, and people were singing. We had a gingerbread house making. Obviously, Lumen was phenomenal. Everything's really working very well with the Bristol Rec Department. I'm pretty excited. And our Bristol Youth Sports program, even though we canceled practice for this evening, we have about, I would say, I think it's 118 youth playing basketball. And it's
Congratulations.
really amazing. Zach's done a great job doing that. And I just want to give a shout out to BES, Bristol Elementary School, Jenny, and also Phil and Luke, the 2 janitors. They just really make things work really well for us and be able to have that space. So we're pretty lucky to have that relationship. And then, now we're focusing on budgeting, town report, and getting ready for summer.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for all your work. You made it really fun for folks in town this season.
Yeah.
Thanks, Meredith. Bruce, do you have anything for department head roundtable? Do you want to?
The rain is easing up, but there are still many areas where water is over the roadway or on the roadway, so use caution.
Thank you. Looks like we don't have anybody else on, right? Nope. Okay. And on to regular business. Review and potential approval of the community resource specialist job. Description and allocation of ARPA funds for the first year. Do you want to come on up, Bruce?
No.
But you will.
Yeah.
I'm not sure everybody was able to get copies, so I brought extra copies, so you could write notes
Oh, but I can write it.
if you want to.
Thank you.
I guess I have to be front and center.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I'll just start with a little summary, I guess. There are law enforcement agencies like us that focus on and prioritize community policing. We review and discuss with community members the service we provide, creating policies and procedures to meet the needs of our community. This is on a continual basis. Our focus is on promoting a safe and caring community. It's not about the number of tickets issued or arrests made. This position will assist us in our continued efforts in providing compassionate, empathetic, and caring responses in our community. It will allow officers to complete criminal investigations more timely. As this position will be assisting us, they can go to non-criminal in nature calls, which would free up the officer. Their assistance with proactive responses to people in need of help will minimize the number of calls for service for those in crisis, which is what we do now. But having this position, somebody else would alleviate the burden on us doing the follow-up, because some of these follow-ups take time. And again, with the staffing numbers that we are, this position would be a great advantage, and I think it's a positive thing for our community. Other communities have started doing this. I think this is a great investment into our community, and I think others will follow suit and do the same thing if this is what we end up doing, which I highly encourage that we do. Do you have the job description? I have it in draft mode or draft form.
Yeah.
So if there were some things that we wanted to tweak, we had received some suggestions. We've added those in there and tweaked it from that. I've also added included a cost expense of things that I thought of. Again, there might be something that I didn't think of, or if we need to tweak it, but tried to be realistic, had some ranges in here, and then used a number to at least come up with something. So if anybody's got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
I read this job description and said, there's no way I
Really?
So Michelle will not be applying for this position. Got it.
Well, other agencies that use this position have found that people that started with this position, many of them became police
Police
officers.
officer.
They
Well,
wanted
that's what
to
I was
take the next
thinking.
step and become a police officer.
You've often spoken in public meetings about the number of hours that you spend, that the officers spend, in terms of follow-up, in terms of, health services, things like that. So it seems like this is a huge, hopefully, the idea is to relieve that burden currently on officers.
At least 40 hours a week of it.
Right.
Yeah, we do a lot of follow-up, but, the non-criminal stuff, like some of the dog complaints, this person could do that.
Yeah.
Some of the neighbor disputes, disagreements over property lines, they could be the initial contact for something like that.
Yeah.
And again, following up with the people in crisis, we would not stop doing that as police officers, because I think it's important that they know that we are there to assist them. It just gives us somebody else that can assist in doing those follow-ups.
Right.
And because of those follow-ups, we've had less times of people in crisis.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, just reading this. So is it your intent that this is just gonna be a police district person, or are they gonna be able to go outside the town?
They would go in the
Anybody
town,
within the town?
within the town.
I think we should clarify that it's a town employee working under the
Police department.
Yeah.
under the police department. I think that's, because I know that people are gonna be, if it's not spelled out, people are gonna think that the district residents are paying for it.
Right, no, this
And we
is a
don't want
town
that.
position.
Yeah.
This is funded through the town budget, not the
Right.
police district budget.
Okay, I was a little unclear when I read that. The vehicle cost and that, is that gonna be a police cruiser, so to
No.
speak, or that's just gonna be a vehicle?
I looked at different makes of vehicles, from a Subaru Cross
Truck.
Trek
Mhm.
to, I think an Escape. So there was a range.
No Denali's?
But,
No.
you might need a four-wheel drive.
I was looking at base model, everything, I was looking at something that if they needed to
Gonna
have
have to roll their own
transport.
windows down.
Yeah, if they needed to transport a dog that had some type of hatchback, because
Yeah.
we do have,
The fencing.
we have fencing at the station and from a couple of different vehicles that we would make fit into the back of it. Thinking that this position does require some response to dog complaints, and also if we need to help assist somebody in moving some small items from place to place, they could do that.
So the community resources specialist, that name, does it come from a particular area? I know you've researched this. Because we always talked about, I mean, when we spoke about it in prior meetings, it was sort of like health services or social services. And so, but is this one that's well used?
It's used at the Rutland Police
Okay.
Department through the Project North.
Okay,
And I think the one in Burlington was similar. I don't remember if it was the exact name, but it was, I think they used community outreach.
okay. Yeah,
As
I'm
it,
all
as it,
for it.
is it, I mean, again, the name is something if we want to tweak. the
Oh,
name,
sure. No, I was just curious. if
Title,
it's-
whatever,
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to. We were just trying to find something to make sure that people understood this is a community resource.
Right,
And it entails a little bit of everything.
right. And health specialist or social services specialist, those obviously have certain connotations of what that job might be. I think an all-inclusive title to be able to handle a variety of things, I think
Right.
is good. And especially if it's a name or title that's been used in other departments, in other towns, other cities. Yeah, and speaking to Michelle and Peter, I mean, we've always, as we've talked about this position, when you first brought it to us, it was always gonna be a town
Yeah.
position and.
Under your direction.
Yeah, primarily, as it states in here, housed within the Bristol Police Department, just because we felt that was the best fit for it, this type of position.
Bruce,
Community service officer is another
Okay.
term that was used, but we felt that getting away from the word officer
Yeah.
or the title officer
Yeah,
seemed
point.
better
It
fitting.
seems appropriate,
Yeah.
because if I show up and I'm the community service officer, they might think that I'm.
Right. Well, I don't want,
enforcement.
I also
Yes.
don't want people to be afraid to call the police department and thinking that we still, because we, as a community policing agency, we focus on the community.
yeah,
So I know some people are hesitant, but we've developed enough of a reputation in at least Bristol over the last couple of years. They're not concerned when they're calling it and a police officer
Yeah.
showing up.
Yeah.
And we should still continue to show that that's part of our job as community policing, is to assist people in need.
right.
So,
Bruce, under A, you've got noise complaint and intoxicated individuals. Give me a briefing on what that would be versus a police officer with an intoxicated person.
well, if it's somebody that, like, we've gotten calls before where there's like, somebody appears to be intoxicated sitting on a bench, they're not necessarily doing anything wrong, but they might be stumbling around, and so somebody stopping to check on them doesn't necessarily mean a police
Okay.
officer has to.
Doesn't begin a crime,
No,
but, okay.
and so if we were sending the person, or they were responding to a call, we thought there was any type of possibility for something to be more, then we would go along with them. But if we weren't needed, then we could break away and they could continue to do what they need to do.
Okay, and we've got an idea, okay, and I agree 100%, the person has to be paid through the town budget, not the police district budget. They go in the upper notch or anywhere in the town that you guys don't regularly go, and they ask for backup, and the state police says, just send us the paperwork and we'll deal with it. It's
Well,
not
they'll be
done.
calling us.
So what is that gonna do to, the money side of, okay, because we get a stipend from the town to go out and answer calls. Is that stipend gonna have to go up?
It may, it depends on the number of calls that we respond to.
Not so much that person going.
Right, no, that
Community
person,
officers.
the community officer doesn't
Doesn't have a
incur,
boundary.
Doesn't have a
other than
boundary.
doesn't incur an
Bristol.
expense.
Right, but
But if a police officer has to respond to assist them or back them up, then that could incur an expense as an out-of-district call. We're not going to send them
Which
in an
hopefully,
unsafe situation.
No,
Yeah,
I get, I
so-
just,
Yeah.
I know we get a
hopefully it'll be
stipend.
mute point in the
Right.
not too distant future.
Right. Right, so I guess it'd be a possibility, but I think it's something that we just need to start and see what happens.
Yeah, because the other thing is if this person works for the town and is working through the, housed in the police department, the state police are gonna tell them to call us.
Yeah,
And our out-of-district calls may go down,
right.
you know, if this person's able to handle certain things that.
That's right.
Bruce would
That's
normally-
true,
Right.
that's true.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
It's one of these that I think once we are able to see the advantages of the position,
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a lot of advantages. The first couple of months, we would have to make sure that they have training if they don't have it already. That's why on the training budget, I'm estimating.
Mhm.
So a lot of the police training that we can attend is usually at the police academy, and there's no charge. Some of the training that this person should have may incur a fee because it's not through the,
It's not law enforcement.
yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
so.
Who would do that training? Is that like a state of Vermont thing? Is that?
We would look to see which agencies offer. It's, the state of Vermont does offer some
Mhm.
training that's not law enforcement related.
Okay. And then in terms of the cost, we're looking to use ARPA funds for this,
For the first year.
for the first year, yes.
Valerie, in the first year was July, finish out this year and July to June of next year.
Say that again?
The first year is through July of this year, or through June 30th of this year, and then through June 30th of next year, so it's actually like
Year and a half.
18 months, year and a half.
Yeah, July 1 to June 30th.
So you're not
We wouldn't hire till
You're not-
July.
thinking of hiring until July?
I would like to hire before then.
Yeah, well,
And-
that's-
I mean,
that's-
take our time too. I don't want to rush. It might take us a couple of months to go through the whole process.
So you're thinking by at least March 1st, you'd like to have somebody
If
coming on
that's
staff.
possible, that would be nice.
In this instance, I wouldn't calibrate it by the calendar year, but by the actual start and onboarding time. Because with the grant administrator position, for example, she didn't come on until August. And we had envisioned that as a year position. And so we're gonna calibrate that as a year and factor that into the budget and through the ARPA funding.
Okay.
Val, how much is in our ARPA fund right now? What's left?
Well, I was trying to scroll through my stuff here, but it's over $400,000 right now. I don't have an accurate figure, and I don't know what the interest that has been accruing on the balance, but it's about, I think we can plan on over $400,000 right now.
And what is the, started, you said August 1st, the grant specialist, which the first year was ARPA funds. So that's up until June 30th of this year, correct? And how much was that
I
position?
would argue that she's through August of into the next year. And the frame was 1 year, so I would frame it in that context, even though it crosses more than one fiscal year.
So when we budget for that position, we have to budget from August to June.
Right. We have to calibrate or prorate how we want to do that.
Mhm.
And then when we fill this position, we need to figure, if we're gonna fill it March, we need to figure 3 or 4 months of next year that we're gonna have to pay for it out of the budget. Is that what you?
Right.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend. If the select board supports launching this position with ARPA funds, I would recommend that the balance of the year, be budgeted in that appropriately in that way.
Well, we can't launch it without ARPA funds.
Right.
Not at this-
Well, wait until the following year. Budget.
So in theory, July 1 of 2025, it's all on the taxpayers.
Correct.
Or some proportion. It's going to overlap.
No,
So there's
it
going
would
to be
act-
some proportion.
So if
then
they're hired in March,
the following year, we can anticipate, full.
Yeah, that's why I said
full freight.
2025. July
Okay,
1 of 2025, it's all on the taxpayers.
well, you could argue that it's on the taxpayers now. I mean, Bruce is doing the job,
Yeah.
so.
It's from the district now, actually.
well, it's awkward because we're budgeting now for FY '25, which goes through June of 2025. So, yeah,
So we'd have to budget for it.
it's tricky how we calculate and calibrate those figures based on those calendars.
Last 3 or 4 months, if we figure the position's gonna be filled in March
The 2024.
of 2024, that budget is good until, that would be March of 2025. We just need from March to June, or February to June, or whatever we,
Whatever
But
the
that's
hire
in
date
this
is.
budget we're working
Yes,
on right now.
yes,
Right.
So,
correct.
Yeah.
Right. Are there other questions about the,
Porter has a question. You're muted, Porter.
go ahead.
Well, so I was just gonna say that, when you guys did come back to ARPA after our report asking about this particular position, which was using, originally the ARPA report was like, we wish you wouldn't use the ARPA money for it, but then you guys came back and said, could we, and especially because the Bristol Family Center thing didn't go through, there was gonna be some extra money there. The feedback that I got from the handful of committee members who did respond was yes, to get it started. So I think that in our perfect world, it wouldn't be that you would take a year's worth of this money and extend it into your future fiscal year, but you would say, yeah, we want to hire this right now, even though it's December 2023, but we're going to budget for our fiscal year that starts July 1st and have that money. So you would be using as little ARPA money as possible for this position. And that would have been our hope for both this and the grant writer. So I'll just put that out there. That would be my hope, is that you would use as little of this money as possible to get this started, but it would be immediately budgeted in the upcoming fiscal year if you could. And I would make if you were using, I saw on the chief's budget that part of the money is for the infrastructure piece of getting it started and part is for the salary. You could make a better case for ARPA money for the infrastructure piece, and I think that'd be fine. But anyway, I just thought I would share that perspective and opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Porter. Any other comments about the job description?
no, like I said, the only thing I would like is it clarified that it is a
Yeah.
town position under the direction of, just so that we don't end up with, we get to your police district meeting and they say, how come we're paying for this?
So would you like that added into the description?
Well, I think you've got a line, that second,
Right, I mean,
paragraph.
we could add it in there,
yeah,
that it's a civilian town position. Or something like that.
yeah, or it's a position that would serve the entire town or
Right.
something along those lines,
Housed within the
housed within the police department.
police department, under the direction of the chief of police or supervising officer. I think that would be,
Yeah.
that would clarify
Mhm.
it. So you could point to that line and say, no, you're not paying for this in the district.
Right, and that was our intent as a board, I think, right along, we talked
Yeah.
about it being a townwide.
We're not looking,
Service.
we're not looking to take it away from you. We're just
Mhm.
looking to make sure that it's funded by the whole town and not the
Well-
district. And that's where the shoe's gonna pinch if they think
Could it,
the
Peter,
budget's gonna go up.
could it then say this, the second paragraph, the CSR is a civilian position funded entirely by the town of Bristol budget and supervised and housed within the Bristol Police Department? Could you
I
say?
don't know that it needs to say anything about the budget, and we don't do that in other job descriptions.
No,
I see what you're getting at.
Applicants won't care.
we'll clarify that it's a
It's a
town.
town position.
Town
Townwide.
position.
Yeah,
In no means looking to take it away from the police department. I
It's still
just
gonna be
want-
supervised by the police.
Yes,
Yes, yes, I want that.
Yeah, there are some people that live in the town that we do encounter in the district that require this service.
Mhm.
And we've been providing it when we encounter them, so,
There are probably people from out of town on occasion,
oh, there are that too. But there was
which you're
some,
not gonna be able to, you're not
Right.
gonna be able to distinguish if
No.
it happens here.
right, And, you know, if somebody's in crisis, we're not asking where they live, we're just dealing with
Taking
it.
care of them, yeah, and rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
The other thing we wanted to include in some way in the description was the reference to animal control somehow. That the person would be expected to also respond to animal control issues.
I don't
In
think
support of the department.
I don't think I specifically put animal control, but I did put non-criminal calls for service.
Right,
And it's a non-criminal call for service, but if you'd like me to specifically put that in there.
yeah, I think we should. We talked about that, we emailed about that earlier today. And I think that's a good thing to do, because that's a big part of what you guys do. And if
but
this person can help with that, man, oh man, that would be great.
It is a big part of it, but this is only 40 hours a week this person would be available. So we'll still have to be, but I will, you know, there are many non-criminal calls for service that we go to. So, but
Yeah,
if you feel that the animal one is important enough to actually put that in there, I can put that in there. I'll put to
I mean, we
include,
do
but not
have-
limited to.
We do have letter S there that's just our, you know, the catch-all, perform all other duties as assigned by proper authority. I mean, I don't, if we don't spell it out, it could clearly fall under that clause as well.
During the interview process, it will be made clear, we'll give them examples of some of the non-criminal calls for service. So that would be included in on that, but like I said, I'm happy to update this and include more information if we need to put more information in.
Reading the description, Bruce, it made me think of, I don't know how active they are right now, but the Five-Town Partnership. I know that you worked with them when they first got started, and then their sort of coordinator left for another job, and I think they're trying to bring it back. I think there's a meeting actually that was scheduled this month. I attended a couple of them, but I could see that being a great source of a resource. That resource officer being, you know, part of that group would be really wonderful, or something like that.
Right.
I know you mentioned Project Vision down in Rutland. Their officer, that whole Project Vision is so community-based, and what that, and I believe I think it's still Commander Prouty, that's their community officer. He left and then came
Yes,
back.
he came back as the civilian position.
The civilian position,
Yes.
right. And I know he's been instrumental, and that Project Vision is just a remarkable program. I know they tried to duplicate it sort of up here.
Right, we have a smaller version called, I think, Project Vision North, I don't remember the title, where we do the same thing.
Yeah.
We all discuss areas of concerns that we have and assist each other.
Right. I liked that there was room for participation in those kind of groups. He left here too.
I'm gonna put a question out there. Bruce, do you feel that this position, and select board members, do you feel this position is independently structured regardless of whether the question of townwide goes to the voters coming up at some point? That this is independent of that?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think especially if we spell out the clause that Peter talked about, that makes it even that much more clear.
Okay.
And it does state a civilian position.
Yep, just want to be clear about that.
Yes, Valerie, if you have a breakdown, we will let Bruce send them to you.
Well, welcome the visit. I'll schedule it for next Tuesday. Weather permitting, of course.
Right. I mean, I think the main advantage to this position is that it's townwide. I don't think, I mean, you could put it as the district, but the district is so small, and it's a small percentage.
It's not feasible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not feasible in terms of just the size of the district, but also it's the advantages that we're trying to help everyone. And that's, you know, partly too, the ARPA funding, that's the idea, was that can you support projects or initiatives that help as many people in the town as possible? And this is the kind of position that does that.
For sure.
Well, and as you're building your, goal of making people feel invited to the community, it's another resource
Right.
that is available for people while they're here.
Yeah,
So do we need a motion, I
I
assume?
was gonna make a motion to accept the job description of the community resource specialist with the change.
clarification for town position.
And,
Yeah.
and is part of that gonna be using the ARPA funds initially?
Well, I got,
Yeah, I don't know, is that a separate motion, or
I
is
don't
that
know.
in the
That's what
same?
I don't know.
I mean, I,
Yeah, I think you can accept, I think one motion would be the description, we can put it out there and see the interest. And then in terms of where the money's gonna come from, it would be an ARPA, motion to accept whatever we decide we wanna pull out of that. Obviously Porter's suggested
Right.
more of the infrastructure side, which is 36,000,
Mhm.
but I think this,
plus 6 months.
right, exactly.
well,
And it'll make a difference when we hire.
Well, let's work on Peter's motion
Right,
first.
right.
I'll second his motion.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
this is, hold on, before I say yea or
Sorry.
nay, this is just to support this.
Job
Job
description.
description.
Job description.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Okay.
All right.
All right, and you had further questions?
Yeah, Porter, so play this out, and we do interviews and stuff through January, and we bring somebody on by March 1. Let's say after we do background checks and everything, so that's 4 months left to the end of the year. So you and your committee of ARPA fund committee recommended, you only wanna see us pay for that through 4 months and not 16 months?
Well, not
No,
12
you
months.
12
it'll be
months.
12 months.
12
I
months
think-
is all we're talking, is a year.
She
From
just
a-
gave a
from
thumbs up,
inception.
I'd like,
Yes, but what she's saying is, that's what they're saying, is only for March to June 30th, we use the ARPA funds, and then we budget it for the rest of the time. We were saying a year from March to March.
And then we budget
their-
what
and
was
then we
left in the
budget.
year.
That was
Yeah.
their preference, their hope.
Yes.
And that was for
is that
any,
correct?
for any position. I mean, in terms of, that was one of the things that the committee looked at, was not adding to, the budget line with projects that you would do. And we've done that with the grant writer and this, and
Wait a
we
minute.
might do it.
not adding to the budget line, then, so if we go what they wanna do, only 4 months of it paid for, then we're adding to the budget.
Yes,
For next year.
Well,
you're
it's,
correct.
yeah.
That's what I'm,
Yes,
that's what,
because we're creating a
I-
position that needs to be budgeted for, but we felt very strongly both the grant writing position, which was in their top 5, it was such a strong position to create, and we felt this one is too, that it was just necessary to do that, or we felt it was
Yeah.
a good use of those funds.
If we're talking money, I'd be inclined, I would support it for a year and budget from there afterward. We'll know, that'll give us some history, and we'll know going into next year.
Right,
We don't know where we're gonna be, and if we come up short, we'll have money budgeted to finish out the year.
so the budget we're gonna be sending to the printer by January 30th is gonna be a community resource specialist for 4 months. 'Cause it
If
starts-
that's,
yeah,
if that's the way
if
we
that's-
vote it,
I'm just trying to get,
yes.
yes.
and then also a grant writer.
Mhm.
And you realize it's
For-
two
From,
subjects.
from August to
Yeah,
June 30th.
Cause my concern is, we haven't seen anybody else's budget yet.
oh, yeah,
No,
no, I
Right,
know,
yeah,
no,
well,
I know.
I can't say yay or nay on this until we
Sure.
know, okay, you're looking at a 25, I hate to say it because somebody's gonna say, we're having a 25,
Right,
a huge percent increase until we know all the budgets.
yeah.
And then we're gonna, Peter brings
And
his
that
axe.
was
and
one of
we
the
cut.
reasons why the ARPA committee wasn't looking at funding projects that did that, where we're creating positions. It wasn't that, oh, you could use this money, it's because if you use it for a person position, eventually we'd have to put it into our budget.
I understand their theory, but then I couldn't figure out why we bought a van for the rec department then. That's a budgeted item now for the rest of its life.
Not the purchase of it, though.
Right,
No, it's
next time around it will.
next time around
Right,
it,
next
and
time
that's what they
around.
didn't wanna do.
Yeah.
So, that's a whole different thing too.
No, I just, their goal, or our goal, was to serve as many community members as possible and reach as far as we can, and I feel that this is something that is probably gonna be valuable for years to come, and if we can get it up and running,
agree.
We'll be ahead of the curve. Wow,
Yeah.
we're already ahead of the curve with our police chief doing the work, but he needs help.
Right.
Yeah.
John, you got a question?
Not so much a question as encouragement. I think this is a really interesting direction for the town. I compliment all of you and especially the chief for opening up the discussion and trying this out. Chief, you're probably way ahead of me on this, but it'll be really interesting a year in to look back and feel, get a sense of how this served the community. And so I hope you'll put, some effort into tracking the activities and that sort of thing, because it'll be really interesting to see how it fits in. Just a quick side note, when the mayor of New York City established a hotline for these kinds of concerns, the number one concern was noise. But I don't know if that'll play out here, but it was interesting when people had that opportunity to like call in on all those like non-police, non-criminal stuff. That was the interesting result. But anyway, good for opening up this direction. I think it's really positive. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Valerie?
No, I'm good with this. I think the proposal to plan to use ARPA funds for a full year, rather than 4 months or whatever. I think that's the way to go. It maximize the resources we have while we have them.
Okay,
Can I just answer John's question?
sure.
All of our calls for service are tracked, so we will be tracking. So we'll be able to have a report on all of the responses.
Okay.
And hopefully, I'm sure you can, but hopefully we can get one like 6 months in so that we know
Yeah,
whether it's working or not, which I have no doubt.
okay. Okay, so we've approved the job description.
Do we need to vote on the budget
I don't-
for that
I
now,
don't know
or
if
do we
we
need
need to do
to
that.
wait to do that when we're doing budget?
I
Yeah,
would
I think-
recommend, because this is going to be an ARPA allocation, I do recommend that the select board make a motion, because at the next or some subsequent meeting, I will prepare another updated resolution
She needs. some
cataloging
input.
all of the ARPA decisions that have been made. And it'll be important to make sure that this is recognized. And so I would recommend that the proposal, and it's kind of depending on which numbers you want to use, but maybe it's an up to, but using the one-time versus ongoing expenses for the position.
So when I figured the salary range, there's a range, but I used the $22 an hour. So depending upon
median.
experience, if somebody has more experience,
Yeah.
for an experienced person, if you don't offer enough, you're not going to get them. For the insurance, I went with the maximum.
Okay.
So if somebody came in and it was a 2-person versus a family, then it would be less.
Yeah.
And vehicle, like I said, I did a range, so there are some as low as 25,000, some as high as 33. I mean, that's something, if you want to say, let's focus on a certain number in a couple of areas, I can tweak those or make them closer.
If you're fairly comfortable with this, I would move that we allocate up to $120,000 to support the community resource specialist for 1 year from the date of hire.
That's a really good proposal. That
With
gives a
ARPA
nice
funds?
buffer.
Wait, say that again, bigger, up to 120,000,
Up to 100,000,
up to the first
from-
year from ARPA funds.
For the first,
yes,
okay,
for 1 year from the date of hire.
So,
so 12 months from the date.
So if we hire in February, it'll be February. If we hire in March, it'll be
right, yeah,
March.
I get it.
If we hire in
yeah.
April, it'll be April.
But, so before we put the budget to bed in January, we've got to budget
The remainder,
the
Yes.
remainder
yeah.
of that.
Yes.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So in January, we'll know how many people have applied, and we can give you an idea on how that process is going, and if there looks like there's a good candidate or not, and if we need more time, we should be able to have an idea at least.
We get an idea what the market what the market wants for that type of position.
Okay, so we have a
It's
motion.
got a cruiser that needs to be traded in though.
Not until July. And then it's a used vehicle that, with some repairs, so,
I mean,
you
it's,
know.
I
I thought
get,
about that too, and then I was like,
you know, you're
wanted
downgrading
to
it.
say
we'll
to-
start
police
out
on
with
it.
the right, you
Well,
know.
you can take those off, those are
Police
just
on it.
labels.
Those
Those are just
off.
stickers or
Take them
whatever.
off. But
I'm just
I did
thinking,
think of that.
you know,
I
it's a
mean,
cost that maybe we could
Yeah.
not, maybe budget for the following year.
All right, so we can work out the details
Right.
of the
Yeah.
budget. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Could you repeat who motioned and seconded?
Peter was the first, and then Ian seconded.
Thank you.
So, sorry, one more time. All those in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed?
No, I don't oppose, no, I'm just not gonna vote it. I worry about, I'll vote in January on the whole town budget, putting it to bed and then.
Well, this is for our using the ARPA funds, so this is separate from
Okay.
budget.
Then yay.
So, okay. All right,
I may not vote for it next March of 25,
Well,
or
let's see where
January
we are.
1st
I
of
mean,
25, but, you know.
thank you.
Thanks.
thank you, Bruce.
Thank you for
They
taking the
start
time.
getting up the news out on the park, and, thank you, Bruce.
Thanks. All right. Moving on to number 2, there's a grant application authorization request for up to $40,000 through V-Trans Better Roads Program for Lincoln Road Riverbank Repair Project.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All
Aye.
right, wait.
Oh, discussion, sorry.
We have a question?
It was 40, and then I think in the TA report, it was 50, and then it was down to 40, or was that this one, or was that the other one?
Actually,
We were just on
No, there's two different ones.
the grant,
No, the number jumped around, and I
the
can't remember
$40,000.
how to find
We're
my-
just,
For the Lincoln Road.
my
yeah.
files here.
TA report was 40.
Anybody go
There
check
was
that?
something in there on the 25 we didn't get.
yeah.
No, but there's, hold on a second.
There's 50 for the next grant.
Valerie, you know, if Eric checked that road today, boy, the water was running down through there about 10.
Oh, he was watching them. He called me and wanted to make sure I had stone.
Right, no, this one's fine, okay, it's the
Okay.
next one that has the number twos.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
who motioned and seconded? I missed the bouncing ball.
Sure. Peaker motioned and I seconded.
Thank you.
We're the dynamic duo tonight.
Apparently, yeah.
So we have another grant application authorization request up to $50,000 through the Vermont Forest and Parks and Forest and Parks Urban and Communities Forestry Program for tree removal, tree trimming, tree planting, and portable water tank.
This is very exciting. Yes.
So, okay, so this one was, it says up to 50, but then it says up to 40, but then it jumps up to 50 again. So it's just up to 50, correct?
In your
Okay,
TA
In the
maybe-
TA report, yeah.
No, it's 50.
Okay.
It was a typo on my part.
Yeah, I figured.
You figured she made a mistake?
No. So moved.
We're at the special elect board meeting anyway.
I'll second. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oops.
Oh, do you have a question, Pete?
Yeah, I'm curious, the water tank, is that to water the new trees?
It
Oh,
is,
so bad.
and according to online sources, it's about $300, and it'd be a thing that would fit in the back of a pickup truck, so that the folks could drive around to like Sycamore Park and fill up the tree gators if we
The
want.
bags under the tree, yeah.
Yeah.
Tree bags, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be doing that?
Whoever. There could be a lottery. There could be a lottery. No short straws. No. Any number of people.
Yeah, her people.
Okay, so again, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
We can't do
Awesome.
public
If we get that, this will be amazing.
Okay,
Because it's not 7 o'clock.
right, so we have a public hearing at 7. We've got a few minutes before 7. Do we want to move on to?
Do select board roundtable.
we could do
For accounts
select board-
payable,
You can do
Accounts
minutes.
payable.
Okay,
Did anybody bring that stuff in?
It's right here.
do you have the number?
Oh, yeah, I do. $102,970.73.
There's no liquor license or tobacco.
There was something else in here, not in here,
You got it right next to you?
but, that's just the taxes or
Okay.
no liquor license.
All right, so we got the number for
C.
that. That's number 6. Okay, number 7, select board roundtable. Ian,
I'm good.
Michelle,
Do we have any estimate of when the lights on Firehouse Drive will be fixed and on?
I'll take that off my list. Thank you, Michelle.
I'm glad you asked. I have been inquiring on a regular basis about that, and I do not have an answer yet. It's
Well, what's their
complicated.
holdup?
I see the electrician's big van leave about 2:30, 3 o'clock over
Well,
there. Maybe they're on
there's an
tonight.
electrician working over to the other place.
Oh,
Can
okay.
you walk across the road and fix those?
Yeah.
lights?
I don't know if he's on the same,
Okay, well,
Well, Don Weston was the contractor who did all of that, and he's engaged his electrical person who is involved with that. And we've engaged other people, and Naylor and Breen folks have been on top of it, trying to coordinate a response. But
They did work, correct? They did work.
no,
all the
they've
way-
never worked. Well,
I thought they worked
may-
before they were built.
I
After
thought
the
they
firehouse was
worked
built.
Until they did something with the sidewalk.
Yeah. Something was damaged.
Well,
during the
Valerie
construction.
said that they were never hooked in the box last meeting, which would lead me to believe that they never worked.
they never worked.
Yeah, the belief is that they never actually worked. There's some
Because
disconnect
they
with
were-
the gizmo at the box itself.
I'm
And
I
so-
must have
90
disconnected that because I'm pretty sure. I
I'm
thought they were
99% sure they worked
At
Yeah.
some point.
the year after the fire station was
Yeah.
built. And I didn't
Me
kinda
too.
figure it.
Huh.
Okay.
All
wow,
right, so we'll continue to look into that. Anything else,
still looking
Michelle?
into it.
No, I'm good.
Okay, Peter,
Good.
Joel.
Oh, God, I got quite a list here.
Oh.
Sorry, I've been quiet the last few times.
It's okay.
So, was asked by one of the persons that donated money for the Memorial Park sign, was that damaged in the wind and being repaired? The Memorial Park sign?
It was damaged.
missing.
It was damaged in the wind. I remember that and.
It was down.
The school was taking it back to do so. I thought they were gonna fix it.
As I say, Meredith maybe
Meredith
catch us
left.
up, but I don't see her.
Yeah,
She ran.
I think,
but I don't know the status. So I know I had asked that same question and Meredith said they were trying to fix it, or the school was trying to fix it, or something
Okay.
was trying to fix it.
And then, got this question asked from me, and not from family. When's the last time the town's checkbook has been balanced?
You're gonna find out later.
Yeah.
It's been a
Okay.
while. It's been a challenge without a town treasurer and without other people in the office to do the reconciliation. It's been a challenge. So yeah, we're working for that, and we were hoping one of the goals when Mark Bouvier was included in the team, that perhaps he could be helpful in it.
Okay, and then I see we paid another water bill inventory for 4,500 to VTOMs. Could we get an update on how much of the grant has been spent and how much of the inventory, how much percentage of the inventory has been done, so we
Yes,
know?
I can get that to you next time.
Okay.
I
just like to
am
know.
keeping track of that.
Okay, and then Michelle asked the one about the lights on the top. That's all I had.
I had one.
go ahead, Ian.
I submitted the Act 250 amendment for the bus shelter, and that's now in process. It's been a year since I started that project.
It might be
A
a
little
year
bit
before you
time.
get in here.
Municipal wheels turn fast.
Yeah.
No, but I actually submitted that. It got approved from the Design Review Commission in Bristol, and I put together all the documents and uploaded it and have been in contact, so they've received it. So now we'll just see how long that takes. I heard that it's fairly quick just because it's an amendment, but I guess we'll find out. I hope it's not another year. It'd be nice to put a bus shelter there.
Or maybe they'll rot, by the time we get them on.
Sure. Always a happy thought.
That's good. That's recorded now.
That's
Okay,
right.
good.
Okay, I don't have anything for roundtable tonight, other than I hope people were able to stay safe and dry today.
Yeah.
There was, number 5 we're not doing because the minutes weren't out.
Correct.
Only for, or do we have December 4th, right?
I didn't have a chance to go. through
I
it.
didn't, yeah, I
haven't
didn't get a
looked at
chance to
it.
look at them.
So we're
So-
done with that one too?
Yeah,
Let's do the, you wanna do the town report quote?
Sure, 6A?
that was, yes, what about the town administrator's report? If we're going down our list, we can
Oh,
just check
sorry.
it off. Do you wanna do your town administrator's report, Valerie?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to my report, just working through all the different things. It's been a challenge being on the home base, not being able to print a lot of things that I would ordinarily work from. But I'm getting through it, and yeah, that's about it.
Can we use the technology fund to get you a printer?
Well, I have a printer, but I only do like letter size, and I like to print on 11 by 17. And so I tried that today. It didn't work. So anyway,
Okay.
my problem.
Well, thanks for doing so much work while you're not feeling well this week.
Yeah,
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
I'll get
wish,
through
and
it.
wish you didn't have to.
yes.
I'll get through it.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the other business.
I would say it's better than last year. And I just want to put a little plug in for folks who don't know that last week was my 1-year anniversary for this thing behind my head. And it's been amazing. The improvement and just everything about it has been amazing. And I'm so grateful for everybody's patience while I went through all of that stuff. And I'm just, it's all good. It's all good.
Great.
So glad to
I
hear.
thought it had a name. I thought it was the brain booger.
The brain booger.
Yeah, that was that thing. Yeah. It,
It's been a year.
I had an anniversary last Friday too, Valerie, so.
yes, we were like changing it. You were coming
Passing in the hall,
going
we
out at
didn't
the
know
same
it.
time.
Yeah.
Well, glad to have you both with us. As
Yes.
well as you are.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, it's so huge. Such a huge improvement.
Great.
All right, I just have a quick one. Val, do we have a policy in town or ordinance about whether we allow overnight camping on any of our parks? Or
No.
town,
We don't allow it. I don't
They
think.
can't, right?
If they can
Dusk to
ask
dawn.
for permission from the rec department,
Mhm.
and they will allow from time to time, but there is no overnight.
There used to be a sign at Sycamore Park that said dusk to dawn.
Yeah, most of them have a sign that says dusk to dawn, but some of the signs have since disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to other business, correspondence reports and correspondence received. Town report.
Yep. Nothing for me.
But we have the town
Yeah.
report quote.
Oh, right. The other one.
I'm
Right.
working on the town report this year, as I did last year. I got 2 quotes. We just put it out to get quote. One was 802 Print, who we used last year, and the other was
Repo.
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 And the repo was, let me look at the numbers here.
It's repro, right?
Repro,
Repro.
sorry.
I was just gonna
Thank
say,
you,
it's like
repro,
repro.
No, not repossessed.
No. 802 print for 300 books was $1178.25, and repro for 300 books was $1338, or $1285 with a 2-year agreement.
Does repro give us our wire-bound ones for free, or do they charge?
They are free, as is
As both,
is
for both of
802.
them.
Yeah,
Okay.
they both are free.
Make a motion, we go with 802.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, anyone opposed? Okay,
All right, great, thank you.
802. Anything else? You said no, right, Valerie?
I'm aware of.
Oh,
Can I ask a-
any question?
Yeah, if I can ask a town report question. Last year, one of the things that Tabitha did with Valerie and I was read through the town report, looking for inclusive language, and she had a couple of suggestions. Overall, she thought it was really, really good, which was reassuring and really validating. But I wonder, Valerie, if there's a way that we can make sure that some of those suggestions that she had last year go out to people when we invite them to make their submissions.
Happy to report that when Ian sent out his notice to the departments, that he included all of those, or
Yeah.
99% of those recommendations into the framework, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
And
there.
does that go to the, the committees, commissions, and non-town organizations as well? Even if they
No.
don't like follow our
I do not
guidelines,
know. I do
it
not
might
know.
be, yeah, it just might be really nice to share that with them. Not that we're requiring them necessarily to do anything, but it's definitely one of those things like, oh, I never thought of that.
Mhm.
Right. Generally, so in the past, we've only sent it out to committees and commissions and town departments. We usually wait for any outside sort of social services things, just they would send the report to us. I've been debating whether to reach out to those groups and so I could send that. Some of those groups are local groups in Bristol, others are outside in Middlebury and other towns around us. But I could definitely do that. I mean, I think just it's a good information to have. Okay, thanks, Porter.
Yeah, and thanks for doing that, Porter.
Yeah.
We've got one more minute. Anything anybody wants to add before we move on to our public hearing? I'd like to note that Ian is wearing his festive sweater again this meeting.
His budget sweater.
His budget
This is my
sweater.
budget sweater, yeah.
Okay. It is now 7 o'clock. Thanks for somebody's-
Very
thanks
good.
for
That was
somebody-
very good.
Yeah, all agreed with you.
Somebody's doing. So public hearing, proposed amendments to Bristol's Unified Development Bylaws. Where do we want to start this evening, folks?
Do we want to
The
go
way we did the last time, I
down
think
through
we
the-
should do it.
Peter, can I
The memo?
scoot over and, I'll scoot over and kind of peek on with you. I didn't bring mine, because I left them in my wife's car, it's sitting down in the left garage.
Yeah, I was yelling at my wife for losing mine, and I left them in my pickup from last week.
Hope you ate some crow then.
I
Should we start?
apologize.
Are we making
I didn't
any-
go back in and
Addressing the
apologize.
emails that we got
Apologize by
from
text.
people,
Are we making any decisions this evening, or is
how
this
do you-
another?
like we got one from
Information.
Porter, we got one.
Yes,
that
yeah, I
was
know we
comment.
received, we received 3 different ones. Do you
Yeah.
want, how do you want to acknowledge them?
Right,
Just that
but we're not
there were
beholden to
concerns
having it
or
be
suggestions?
complete for town.
Should we answer their concerns, or what our
Yeah.
opinions
Well,
on
we
their
can vote.
concerns?
We'll ask them.
If we want to vote, but we don't have to have this, we don't have to have it approved until the end of January.
Right,
But
so
we
any
have to have time
suggestions
to
we,
have-
right, we send
We
it
have to
back to
have time to
them.
have another meeting
Right,
between whatever
but-
changes we make and.
But Joel's question last week was that he felt that we didn't want to rush this. And if we are trying to get it in for town meeting, that means we might rush this then.
Well, if it gets
we
to,
have changed.
if we get to the point where it's not gonna make it, it's not gonna make it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not.
We're not gonna pass it for the sake of passing it,
Right.
to put it
Right,
in
I
the,
guess it depends on
Yeah.
our discussion. I mean, I'd like to hear more public comment tonight, as we've been doing for the
Mhm.
previous meeting.
I see your hand, Tom, I'll be with you in just a minute.
It seems to me that the select board has pretty much January to continue discussion about this and make a final determination about what's on the warning for the town meeting.
Well, we'd have to finish it before January, because we'd have to
Right,
pass it
exactly.
or approve it by the end of January.
Exactly. That's my point.
I'm also interested to know
John Wayer's question.
what might have come up at the public meeting that they had. I don't know if anyone's here.
Which public meeting?
Oh, there, hi Kevin. There you are. You had a meeting with the Democratic group, right, that they hosted? Were there concerns that came up at that meeting that we need to know about? Or we should know about?
There was a lot, I don't think, well, in regards to the changes to the bylaws, I don't think there was anything new that came up. There was a little discussion on ADUs, there was a little discussion on Rockydale. Most of the discussion was, trying to get a better understanding of the zones and how they apply to a particular individual situation. Whether they're in a situation where the zones are changing or not. There was a lot of educational questions, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So I don't believe anything new or significant came out of that whole process.
Okay.
Being as informal as it was.
Right, thank you. Any other questions right now? Joel had a question about,
Well, I have kind of a statement and then a few questions for anybody that wants to answer, I guess. First of all, some people that commented last week, we've gotten emails that said that kind of like our minds are made up. Well, I can't speak for the other four at this table, but if you think my mind's made up, you don't know me very well. I've got still a lot of questions on this, and let us get through it, and we're hearing you. And I read John Moyer's statement today, and John, I'm not talking about yours, just because I led in with it, but a question I have for Kevin in the group, planning commission group, was there was something that John said it didn't pass with the group about 2017, and I don't know exact words, and Ian's got it up on the email. It got changed before 2017, it got added in 2017, the bylaws changes, and now it was taken out. I wonder why it was put in 17 and it worked so well, or did it not work so well? Was it taken out and that's why it's taken out now? So I guess that's a question I have.
No, it was in the 2017 regs, when they did the modifications of them before this one, it was taken
it
out.
was taken out.
So,
John's asking to put it back in.
right, and so why did it not work? Is that why it took it back out? Because it got put in 17?
No, because I think the regs changed, the state statute of the regs changed, and that's why I assume they took it out.
I don't recall, I was not on the board when it was put in. I was on the planning commission when it was taken out, because it was taken out with the changes for subdivision when we made it a UD, whatever.
Okay.
We discussed it through our deliberations, and John did mention that in his.
Right, he did it in his email.
Is mentioned in his letter. And there was a motion to put them back in, which didn't carry in our deliberations.
Okay.
Adam Luigi, who was the Addison County Regional Planning person that facilitated or worked with us, indicated, not strongly, but indicated he felt that there could be some enforcement issues if they were ever tried based on
If
those.
the 17s were left in there could be an enforcement issue?
They're not necessarily consistent with the intent of ADUs. And he wasn't strong on that, but he did make that statement. And like I said, there was a motion made when we deliberated and it didn't carry.
So then, a follow-up question is, and I brought it up last week, was, so you know where I live in my garage is higher than my house, and it's just a garage. So today, if that wasn't there and I wanted to build what's there today, and I wanted to put an apartment above it, could not do that, correct? Because it's higher than the garage.
So
Higher than the house.
Higher than the house, sorry.
It depends on the steps you take to do it. The language says new construction. You build your garage today, finish it, get your certificate of compliance on it. 6 months later, you convert the top into an ADU. You've circumvented the language in the rule because it says new construction. Once it's there, it's no longer new. New is a nuanced word.
No, he's
But
talking about
the height.
just too big a house, you couldn't be that big.
The accessory structures, if you build a garage, you can build it 35 feet tall. That's what the regs say.
And then as I get more money, let's say, if we only wanted to budget so, and we say, our game plan is always to have an apartment there. Or 6 months later, or next year, I file.
When your
So did I
kids' life
supervent
changes,
the regs, I guess? Did I go and do an end round?
in a way, it is an end round, in a way, it's also just, it's following the rules, because the ADU is the use.
So there's no clarification to say that, okay, Joel, if you want to build that today, it's higher than your garage, so you can't come back to us in a year and a half, or higher than the house, you can't come back to us and say, you know what, I'd like to build an apartment.
No, if he's 1 day old, 1 year old, 10 years old is old.
And there's also there's a confusion, and I've talked to Chris about this, about the structure, the construction of the structure, and the rules that we have in place for that, and then the use. And so those are two different things, and I think that's getting confusing with the ADU thing. People are thinking of like the ADU as a physical building, but in our regulations, the ADU or an accessory building use, they're two different things. So you could build that, and you could meet certain regulations, and then you would go and apply for a change of use for that particular building.
And that, then that wouldn't have to go in front of, that's just a by
It's a
right
permitted use.
permitted use.
Well,
Right,
yes
it's a
and no,
permanent.
I mean, you're gonna have to meet the septic regulations and everything.
Correct, yes, that.
Right, we've
Okay.
got quite a few hands up here.
Okay.
And I know, I'm gonna start with Tom, because Tom, I saw you first. So your hand was up for a while. How can we help you this evening?
Okay, so when I made my statement last week, I don't think I ever actually made a request. So I would like to request that the term business yard be removed from RA5. Just to formalize it so that we understand what my statement was about.
Okay, is there anything else?
No, I heard you saying, the board that is, that there might be questions, and I would be pleased to answer any questions that I can if you need to ask questions of me.
So, Tom, I was reading your statement that you sent in, and I was sort of looking at the information that you quoted from, and it's the Enabling Better Places, a zoning guide for Vermont neighborhoods. And looking at that, it defines the neighborhood district. And it says a neighborhood district is a primarily residential area located near a town or a village center. Neighborhoods historically include a wider variety of housing types than newer residential subdivisions, including duplex and multifamily homes. Their adjacency provides vibrancy to the town and village centers. For the purpose of this guide, neighborhood does not include the large lot exclusively single subdivisions in rural areas. And I would argue that RA5 doesn't really fit into the neighborhood district name that you are trying to put on it. I would say that it's not related to that.
Okay.
Given the size of the district, given the density of housing, given the type of housing. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, so I would argue that I live in the neighborhood. Okay, and if I could.
Are you in, Tom, are you in RA5? Is that correct?
That is correct. I am in RA5, and I would have to look it up, but to kind of paraphrase, in the UDR, it says that any definitions that are not specifically defined in the UDR will go by the common definition. And by what I looked for the common definition, I live in a neighborhood, and I would go with that.
Okay. I mean, RA5 is rural agriculture. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But it is also a district that is primarily residential.
Okay.
Okay. We've got a couple other hands up. Is there any other questions for Tom at the moment?
Not at this time, no, not at this time.
Nope. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, so I will mute myself.
Thank you very much. John, I think you were next, and then I'll go to Mark.
Thanks. I was gonna talk about ADUs, but just on the business yard thing, RA5, it is important that existing in the regulations, it says this are primarily residential. That matters.
Yep.
That's-
John, we're having a hard time hearing you.
You
John,
gotta
you're
be a
breaking
little
up.
closer to your microphone.
Thank you.
Is this a little better?
No,
That's
that's much
Yeah,
better.
can you repeat what you said, please, John?
Yeah, my main comments are about the ADUs on the RA5. I would just say that, when this change was made, when business yard was added to RA5, as I mentioned quickly last week, I'll try and do it quickly now. There was almost no discussion on the part of the planning commission. The change by zoning administrator, which is fine, but it almost no conversation, no deliberation, no decision about if we welcome this kind of use into.
Oh, John, we're losing you.
Yeah, you're breaking up a
breaking
little
up.
bit, John.
Is this better? I'm sorry. I think I'm in a bad spot for reception.
Yeah, that's better.
My apologies. I just think
It's
that
okay.
it's important to note that when this RA5 changed, when business yard was allowed into RA5, the change received very little deliberation from the planning commission, almost none. It was just like, let's do this. Oh, okay. And they sort of talked about maybe somebody come along and want to do a business there. Okay. But that was about it. And so the two examples we've had was also added to the mix at the same time. We've eliminated it from the mix. But, I think if somebody wants to make a case that sort of industrial type activity should be allowed in RA5, okay. And I don't object to business yard generally, but as the definition is written, it's too loose and it allows uses that we don't have to speculate about how they're going to be received. We have experience down on Lower Notch, at least, where uses deemed by the applicant as appropriate under business yard have disturbed the pre-existing residents already. There's no speculation in that. It's a concern for a bunch of people who built their homes and made their lives based on how RA5, the character of that area. And I would say the burden ought to be on people who really want to change it to make a solid case for that, which hasn't been made. Those are my comments on RA5.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
I do have more comments on ADUs, and I'll offer those when you feel like that's appropriate.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Mark?
Oh, hi, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
We
Yep.
can. Thanks, Mark.
I just wanted to address the 80% rule that's in there. The net effect of that is if you have a one-story house, pretty much can't have an ADU unless, 80% of a house is kind of small house. And for the same reasons, if you have a two-story house, you could only have a one-story ADU. At first glance, it seems like a great idea. Like, let's try to address the red shed issue. And I think it's
Oops, we're losing you, Mark.
what?
We lost your voice for a minute there.
Oh, sorry. I think it is good to address that, but I'm not sure this is the right solution. It seems a little onerous, certainly on people with one-story houses, but yeah, even two-story houses for the new construction.
Right, that was discussed at our last meeting. We talked about that seems to be a little wonky there, so we'll make a suggestion about that.
Okay, great.
Thanks. Okay. I don't see any other hands, so we want to go back to John and ask him.
Yeah.
John, are you still with us?
I am. I went and got in the space. I hope will be better reception. Can
Yeah.
you hear me okay?
That sounds pretty clear, thanks.
Great. Regarding ADUs, so when the planning commission started in on this, I asked why the second half of the 2017 ADU regulation was removed. And Adam told us that after the state required ADUs to be a permitted use in all districts, and that was added to versus Craig, that it was felt that that second half of the current, then current 2017 ADU language was eliminated because it conflicted with the state's requirement that an ADU be permitted in all districts. And I don't know if that was the case, that's why that was omitted, but if that's the case, there's two things that's worth noting. One, that it received, again, much comment from the planning commission. And I think if you read the language, it does not at all conflict with the state's requirements that an ADU be permitted in all districts. So, in fact, as I point out in my written comments, which Joel, I think you're taking a close look at, the language of 2017 would be more permissive even than the it would allow, when the Home Act says there's a dead end on something, like if a main house is already a duplex, that's a dead end for that owner. But if you add this language back in, it may mean that owner could, under certain circumstances, if it gets a review, have an ADU. So I think that's a good thing. Another thing about some of the conversation last week on ADUs, Ian, if I understood your comments, you had talked to Adam a little bit about it, and he had said, yeah, you get 2 different permits for a new building, but that is not standard operating procedure in zoning at all. I mean, if somebody applies for a new building, the full use has to be considered. You can't do an in run around the zoning laws by splitting the project in 2 for permitting purposes. That is just not how zoning is done. Zoning takes into account, or the permitting process takes into account what the overall impact of that proposed new building is. And, to suggest that we find a bureaucratic or administrative way around what zoning is trying to do by splitting the uses and seeking separate permits for them, that's not how it's done in zoning. It's never been done that way. And you can see why it makes sense, because the purpose of zoning is not just to clear the path for a builder or developer. The purpose of zoning is to protect the people who are already there and have interests, as well as the town, which has separate interests as well, in making sure that new development fits and has the character that the townspeople have expressed they want in that zone. So splitting uses like that, even when oh, I'm building this building and I'll come back later and get the permit for the ADU, that doesn't cut it. I mean, that is not standard operating procedure in any way in zoning. So to propose that as a solution, not only does it go against SOP, but it doesn't protect the public, which is, I would argue, at least half of our job when it comes to planning and zoning. So I would urge you to put that language back in, the 2017 language back in, see that it's more permissive, even while it's more protective of Bristol residents. It provides the process so that I think the neighbors want it as well. So I really hope you'll look at that and consider doing that. Thanks. Happy to take any questions if anybody has them.
Oh, how do we get muted?
That's fine.
John, I have a question for you. So this was, can you hear me, John?
Yes.
Okay. So this was voted on at the planning commission level, and you're a member of the planning commission, and it was voted down. And now you've come to the public meetings, and you're very adamant about seeing this put back in. What do you see, if this isn't in the language, what do you see happening? Describe situations for me.
So when somebody, here's the loophole we have that the state does not provide for. I mean, you got to read the state legislation, the Home Act, very closely. It talks about ADUs, period. It doesn't say ADUs in garages. You can't read that into it. That would be reaching too far. The Home Act deals with ADUs that are built onto or part of an existing home. So you convert, a wing of your house to an ADU, or a little addition plus part of your house to an ADU. Home Act covers that. That's fine. Home Act covers if you convert an existing accessory structure to an ADU. Fine. Home Act covers that. We can't regulate that much at the town level. But when you have a new building that is two more uses, and read the regs, it talks about building and use, like it's not just use, Ian. And if you have an accessory structure, say a garage, and you put an ADU on top of it, you don't get, just because there's an ADU on top of it doesn't mean you ignore the other use, because as I say in my comments, a building that has combined uses like a garage and an ADU, you can anticipate that that's a bigger building, taller probably. Certainly. You have residences in there, residents in there. So that is a high impact addition to the neighborhood, living. And so the loophole I'm trying to close, or that this would close, would be when somebody wants to build a new building like on Garfield Street and wants to have two uses in it, like on Garfield Street. And it would cover that. It wouldn't stop that person from doing that, but it would just say, hey, wait a minute, the town's going to take a little closer look at this so that we don't get a result like we had on Garfield Street. That's all that does. Besides that, the language I'm asking you to add back in would be more permissive than the state. When somebody hits the brick wall of the Home Act, says, oh, it's already a duplex, end of conversation by the Home Act at the state level. But in Bristol, if we had this language in there, it would say, okay, come have a conditional use review, and maybe you can have that there if it fits, so I don't see.
So is it, John, is it primarily about size? Because I'm going to ask, our zoning administrator is here. I'm going to ask him a question, and I'm going to, let's say I want to build a garage and it have an ADU above it. Is it primarily a size issue? Is that what your concern is?
Zoning doesn't separate. It's not just size. It's all of the potential adverse impacts which could be, size, height, could be location, closeness to the property line or not, or elsewhere on the lot. It could be where the new sound that comes from that building, because if it's a residence, it's going to have HVAC, right? Heating, ventilation, air conditioning. And that's going to be a compressor probably of some kind these days. Parking and traffic circulation, really parking, screening issues. I mean, those are all part of what, makes project fit, or the lack of thought over those things makes your project not fit, which again, we have the perfect example on Garfield Street of something that didn't think about any of those things, didn't get a review that encouraged him to think about any of those things, ends up with a building he can't use and the neighbors hate too, and nobody's happy. Doesn't work for anyone.
Okay.
So we have this loophole. You have the chance to close it while being more permissive than the state. I urge you to do it. It's common sense. It also is in line with how the regs already think about this thing. If you go to look at the definition of accessory structure, it basically says doesn't include a living arrangement in an accessory structure. So what, we're looking the other way? Somebody wants to build a garage plus an ADU, and we say, well, we're going to look the other way for now. Build the whole building, get the garage permitted, and then once it exists, you can have a permit because the state says it's an existing building. Now you just get an administrative permit. But that may be a good workaround, but that doesn't address the potential adverse impact on the neighbors and on the town's interests of that kind of end run. That just doesn't cut it.
John, I'm going to stop you there just in the interest of time, because we've, there's a certain amount of time allotted for this discussion. So Ian has a question for Chris. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it continues this discussion. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
So I wanna build a garage and I wanna put an ADU above it. What do I do?
Right now.
What are my limitations for that? Look,
Today's are your proposed regulations.
today's regulations,
Today, it would be, you can combine it into one permit,
okay?
which would be your site plan, where you're gonna physically locate it, the dimensional standards of that structure, and what you wanna use it for. And you need to do that with any structure.
Yeah,
If you wanna build it and have it just as a garage, you can do that. If you wanna build it, make it a horse barn, make it a horse barn. A storage structure, that's what you're allowed to do. So
okay,
the ADU at this point would be allowed in that same structure as long as you met your dimensional standards and you had adequate septic, you met the parking requirements, and it was attached to a single-family home.
right,
So that's how that would work today.
okay,
And we've had a combination, there's 3 different ways that people seem to do ADUs. One is convert existing spaces, whether it's an existing garage, part of an existing home. The second is to build, just what we're talking about, is a structure with the intent of dual uses.
yeah,
And we see multi-use buildings all over. Matter of fact, we encourage those. Our Main Street in Bristol is a great example. We have retail on the downstairs and residential on the upstairs. And lastly, some people will build just an ADU. We've got one on that's being built in town as we speak. They are building just the ADU structure. So there's all sorts of nuances to this, and to lump it all into one just sort of generic concept is where it falls apart. That the structure is the structure,
right,
and the use is the use. So if you come to me and you want to build a 20 by 20 building and say it's your storage structure today, that's what it is. That's what you're saying it is. And if you use it for anything else, you're violating zoning, because you've stated your use.
yeah,
Later on, if you want to change that use, you apply for a change of use, and if it meets the zoning requirements, it is then approved, whether it's by me or if it gets moved along to the DRB, whatever the process is for that particular use and where it falls in, whether it's an ADU or not.
okay,
So that's the process of how that would go.
That's current.
Yeah.
right,
The only real change we would see in the new regs is this height limitation thing that's wonky is all get out, but that's okay.
okay. But it's not like my garage and my ADU, I'm combining 2 different size buildings to put it as one super massive building. My limitations are already in our zoning regulations under my district. Wherever I live, it's already there. My setbacks are spelled out. My size, my footprint, how big an accessory building can be, things like that. That's already there.
That is correct.
Okay. And that's not changing in the new regulations.
No.
Okay.
The height is though, right, for an ADU?
Well, I think we need to have a discussion about that.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
If you're building just a straight up ADU, yes, there's a limitation on brand new. If you want to build just an ADU, you can only be 80% the height of the home.
So like what Mark brought up was if you live in a single family home or a single story home,
Correct.
you're not gonna be able to build an ADU.
Mm-hmm.
But I will mention as part of the deliberation with the Garfield fiasco, where there was a tall building, that was a very powerful concept as far as the deliberations went at the planning commission.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Couple points. I would caution against, changing regs simply because of the Garfield's place. There were mistakes made there that weren't the fault of the ordinance itself, but the other thing Chris says is correct. But the Garfield problem we took care of. But it still would have allowed a tall building. And the lots are small around the village. And it's too big by 20%, so it shouldn't have been more than 1,000 square feet, but it still could have been as tall. So it would have still been imposing to the neighbor's view. So if there is I guess that's something to consider. My thought on the whole issue about size is like, well, maybe there's needs to be some treatment for the village and not out in RA2 or RA5. If you're out by me on hard scrabble, who cares if you've got people have 10 acres, whether what does it matter what the height of their ADU is on top of our garage? In the village, where an awful lot of the lots are actually non-conforming lots. They're too small, under the regs, and the setbacks for outbuildings, appropriately so, are really tiny. They're like 10 feet and 5 feet, right?
10 feet.
10 feet, so you can be tough, and the place on Garfield meets the setbacks, but since the lots are tiny and you can have a real big building there, you can get into these issues where it's blocking my light, it's just looming over my backyard, all those things. So maybe there's some nuanced treatment for the densely populated part of town where the lots are small, where there's no requirement that the ADUs have to be treated the same all over. But I do want to comment on some things that John said. It's not that this new statute, Public Act 47, which was S100, it doesn't say ADUs have to be allowed everywhere. What it says is you have to treat ADUs the same as you treat single-family residences everywhere. Now, maybe it kind of works out for the same way, but that's an important point. Is the statute says you got to treat ADUs just like you treat single-family residences. So you can't go over, if you don't have single-family residences subject to conditional use, you're not going to be able to regulate ADUs as a conditional use. So you'll be in violation of the new statute that was passed this past year. So it's an important distinction. That's really what the main thrust of the legislation was with ADUs, is to make them be able to happen wherever single-family residences can happen, and treat them the same way. That's sort of it in a nutshell.
Now, if I can interject.
Sure.
The statute exempts single and two-family residences from site plan review. And as such, to draw in whatever the effort may be to make those uses conditional is inconsistent with state statute.
We're saying the same thing.
Yes.
Except that an ADU is an ADU, and when you add an accessory use to it, use or building, as our regs currently say about an accessory structure, use or building, it's not just an ADU, then it's a different animal. And Kevin is correct when you say an ADU, but an ADU, if it's just an ADU, can presume to be a less impactful building. Maybe it's shorter, maybe it's smaller overall, whatever. But that's just it. Nothing, Bristol is allowed. Nothing in the Home Act says Bristol or any town cannot say when uses or buildings are combined in this way, new uses, new buildings, we can't regulate. Show me in the Home Act where it says that, and I'll shut up. But it doesn't say that.
Thank you, John. And just a reminder, can you wait to be recognized next time? Thank you.
So when John said the statement can be built in any district, I was thinking, could you build an ADU in the middle of the rec field? No. When he said in any district.
Or in conservation, there's quite a bit of limitation.
Right.
So I mean,
you can't build a house, you treat them the same.
Yeah, you can't regulate ADUs differently than you regulate single-family residences.
Okay.
So in a certain district, that there was, maybe in conservation, there was some special, let's pretend, some special size limit in for single-family residence in conservation, then you could regulate ADUs the same way there, but in the single-family residence is allowed in just about I think it's every place, I don't know what it says in conservation, but then you just have to treat ADUs the same way, you can't impose new limits on them.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
And so can you speak to John's reasoning that it's combined uses? Like, what's your interpretation of that? If I want to do a garage and an ADU?
I don't think it's any different than, I disagree. And that, like, if I wanted to build a house now and I had a first level garage and a house above it, just as my primary structure, that's a combined use. I don't really think of the garage part of it as a different use. That's just so part and parcel of single family residences that there's a garage, because we're an automobile society. I just don't get the point. I think it's kind of a solution in search of a problem. The Garfield Street is unique and it's been taken care of, and it was a mistake, and I'm not kicking Chris, we've
All good.
mistakes happen, okay? It never should have, it was a duplex house, there shouldn't have been an ADU, period. The building was too big, it's a mistake, all right, but the permit didn't get appealed, and it became final, and that ties our hands, but and that ADU went away because 2 years had lapsed, and then we had the application for the forge and woodworking shop, and the DRB denied it. And the theory, one of the theories was that, look, it was permitted, and I think this is an important point to John's concern, which is legitimate, about end runs. So we dealt with that in the decision this way. When that building was first permitted as a garage and an ADU, those are all subordinate to the main building, which is residential house. But then the application was a change of use. Hey, let's do on the first floor, let's have a blacksmith school and a forge and a woodworking shop and art and and education, whole bunch of things like that. Quite different. So it's not, the decision says, look, that's not subordinate to the residential use. That's not something that goes along normally. It's not accessory to the residential use. It's not subordinate to the residential use. So that's a protection against the end run. It's kind of an extreme situation, but it's a protection against the end run. As long as the new use is a typically subordinate use for a residence, all okay. But if you built a big building and got a big garage and got a permit for that, and then wanted to do something that wasn't actually a customarily subordinate to residential use, under, the DRB would say no.
Thank you, Kevin. John, do you have something new to add
I do.
quickly? We're
yeah.
past time already.
Yes, well, I would say to Kevin's comment that, that thing on Garfield Street is passed, except if you live next door where it's gonna be forever, every day you look at it. So no, not passed for them. The other comment is the state statute, the Home Act, is silent on a combined use. Bristol's an ADU is an ADU, something else, an accessory use plus an ADU is an accessory use plus an ADU. You cannot just put an ADU on it and ignore the other building or use. And I just do want to reiterate that past trend years, accessory use, and still is part of our regs. You can't ignore, you shouldn't ignore that it says does not include dwelling. An accessory use does not include dwelling. So if you want to ignore that, you can, ignore this. And nothing in the Home Act that you can't. The Home Act doesn't contemplate combined use. We have a loophole. We're going to get more Garfield Streets if we don't close it, and that's all I can say.
Thank you, John. All right, other questions, other comments?
Just have a question for Kevin.
Yeah.
So if he come in and Chris has been very upfront with the 200 square feet bigger than it was supposed to be. If they'd come in right on, could build that size,
Not with an ADU though.
but he could have signed that piece of paper, it'd be a steel building out in that corner.
He could have put in a permit for an accessory building, and it would have been
Yeah,
just
well,
like he's currently got.
There's no aesthetic design limitations anywhere in our ordinance, except in the downtown design review district, and that's only advisory. So, yeah, you could have a building with 1,000 footprint, 35 feet tall, with red metal siding, instead of a 1,200 square foot footprint, 35 feet tall, whatever it is, with red metal siding. That's right, there is no, let's make it fit with the houses around it, part of our ordinance. And And I end up on both, I've been on both sides of this, as a land use attorney and a municipal attorney. There are certain towns where there's a lot of that design control, historic towns like Woodstock and.
Manchester, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and it can be quite onerous. There's two sides of that coin. One is, we want it to look uniform and we rely on tourism, and on the other hand, it can kind of freeze development with new ideas on construction. Energy, things like energy efficiency, windows, things like that. So I can't remember the town. I was trying to remember this morning, and I didn't go looking for the file. I had a client who had a nice new house, a rebuild, and the garage was on the front of the road, had road frontage, and the house was behind it. And the design review committee just wanted all the buildings to face the road. And on that lot, you really couldn't do it, and they thought it had, and if you face the road, you couldn't have too much glass. There was a glass ratio, and this house was designed for passive solar with big windows, and it didn't face the road. And ultimately prevailed, but it was sort of a good indicator to me, like, well, I get both sides of it. If you freeze things the way they, and maybe you want to, but if you freeze it the way it looked in 1880, you might be bumping up against some design changes that are driven by technology or other things that don't necessarily fit, but aren't a bad thing. So you wanna think about that. And we had this come up with the DRB recently, in a way, that PUD, what is it, like on North Street by Bill Bouvier's, whatever that's.
Cottage
Right, so that was one of those mission creep developments, where it wasn't comprehensively designed at the start, and so there was a PUD, planned residential development, or PUD, I can't remember which, under the old regs granted by the planning commission. Now it's before we were combined. So that 6-lot subdivision had its permit for a planned residential development where setbacks are lesser, you can cluster, all those things that, you get these waivers, basically, to make it an integrated design. Now, the original design didn't have garages. People who were looking to buy lots kept asking the owner, what was his name?
Robert Fuller.
About garages, so he came in with a request to amend the permit to add garages, except the way that driveway comes in, and where the house sites would be, the back of the garages would be on North Street, and, it would have looked odd, and in that zone, whatever it is, the DRB relied in part on the statement of principle for the zone about the traditional development pattern with houses fronting the street and garages in the back, and so we actually denied, we don't deny much, because most people do a good job trying to meet it, but we actually denied that amendment because it didn't fit the development pattern in the area, but it was directed at the building orientation.
But there was a solution to that. Some of those houses were redesigned, keeping their original footprint to incorporate garages. So
the proposal was, because there were, they stayed in the original building envelope, but the proposal was to be able to add 6 or maybe not that many freestanding garages. And so it would look very different from the road.
Can I go back to, so Joel asked this question, and he said, could I build that building? And you said, not with an ADU. Did you say that because, at the beginning of his question, he was asking, could I build that same building, but within the regulations? And you said, not with an ADU. Is that because of the duplex part? Okay, so if it was a single family, he still could have done the ADU because he was meeting the setbacks and the size.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So it seems like
appropriately sized.
Right.
He could have built a building that looks like that with red metal siding, 1,000 square foot footprint, subject to the height restriction that every other town building has to meet.
Okay.
I mean, it seems like if we really want to make amendments to the ADU part, I think one of the easiest things is to just change the building height. That enables us to keep, in certain areas, perhaps in certain districts, it enables us to keep character in those districts, and then but still allows people to build, to do multiple things, perhaps a garage and ADU. At the moment, and it also answers the question that's in the new proposed regulations about the 80%. If we just set a height limit, whether you're in a single story or whether you're in a two-story, that can match. The question on that is then, are we concerned about a single-story house building a two-story house behind it or in the proper setbacks? That would raise a question. Is that not acceptable?
Subordinate to.
Right, so we do have a few garages that are bigger than the homes, and if you drive around and look at all the homes in our community.
Right.
We have a handful of mobile homes in our community, in our village, that have garages that are taller than they are.
Yeah.
That's the first one that comes to mind. So it's having an accessory building that's taller than the primary building doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Right.
Again, it's all about uses and proper uses.
So, I know when I was on the board, and if we're going back.
Joel, your garage is taller than your house.
I know it is. Yeah. And it wasn't gonna be an apartment in it, don't worry, it's not gonna be an apartment. But if you had we were on one case that they had a small little garage, it was like 12 foot wide and 18 feet long. And they wanted to build a three-car garage. Now, we're talking 2 feet from the line. So, but it was built before zoning, it was built before the 60s. Non-conforming.
Yep.
And they built it, the three-car garage, story and a half high, or two-story high, right on the line. So could you, a non-conforming law in a pre-existing building change from a garage to an ADU?
If it's a non-conforming, you gotta distinguish between non-conforming uses and
Non-conforming size.
Right, so
Too
it's a
close to the
so
line.
it's a non-conforming structure.
Right.
So that just regulates expansions of the building, not the use. Right, so if it's a different use that doesn't change the footprint of the building, it doesn't matter. If it's a non-conforming use, and then you go to change, then you have to analyze whether it, under the statute and under the bylaws, whether the new use expands the non-conformity, because the theory is, the legal theory is that non-conforming uses and structures are supposed to be eliminated over time, therefore you can't expand them. You can't make it worse.
So I guess I'm gonna blow this question up.
Okay,
Jill, before you ask your next question, I want to make sure that we're still talking about.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, we're
So,
not going on another
take
tangent.
my garage, if it was right up against, and it was non-conforming, built in the 60s before we had zoning, and it was 2 feet in the back line.
Right.
And I wanted to put an apartment and put a window in it that overlooks the backyard of my neighbors. Permittable or not permittable?
That, based on a
Yes,
ruling we had on High Street, I think it was, when they wanted to add an addition onto a non-conforming structure.
It's the same garage was, I didn't change it,
yeah,
I'm just
that's
gonna,
the one that went up higher.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna add an apartment to
But are you gonna add
existing.
more to it, or are you just gonna?
Just gonna, the same garage.
Cut a window in there.
Gonna cut a window and make an apartment above it now.
Yes, you can
That would
do
be
So
fine.
now, instead of it being a boarded up wall, it was a workshop
You're not changing,
upstairs.
But you're not changing the
the
dimensions.
non-conformity.
Okay.
It's non-conforming because it's too close to the property line, it doesn't meet setback. So that's how you analyze these things.
Right.
If the change doesn't increase the non-conformity, then you can do it.
So I could have an
If
ADU.
you were gonna put that window in and put a dormer over it, you wouldn't be able to do it
Correct,
because you'd
so
be,
you could have an ADU in a non-conforming size, because you didn't add to the building, but it was put in before zoning.
Well, you got, it's actually more nuanced than that, are you increasing the non-conformity? So we have all these cases in zoning where the, building, say, is too close to the road, right? If you were putting an addition on the back, yeah, you're changing the building, but you're not actually increasing the non-conformity. The,
Conformities on the front.
yeah, and so one of the tough issues, and I don't know what our ordinance says about it, one of the tough issues was if you could extend laterally, whether that's actually increasing the non-conformity. So, but your hypothetical, no problem. I did wanna, I had a didn't notice it till today, on the business yard, and you've kind of moved on from that, but I see this, can I point out something?
Go right ahead.
Sure.
So it says trash, recycling, and garbage businesses do not constitute business yards. And I assume you've already talked about the heavy equipment size limit there, but when I was looking in the rest of the ordinance, including these tables, if I don't see trash, recycling, or garbage business anywhere. So, I mean, now this definitional change is accepting it out of business yard. So if I don't see it someplace else, there's no trash, recycling, or garbage business anywhere in the town.
Mhm.
That is correct.
So you're saying it's not allowed anywhere in the town?
Yeah, I mean,
based on what our charts are?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Which.
So you don't have to make an exception for it.
No,
For
well,
an
you can
exception to rule it out.
You can say, the exception is saying it's not part of business yard, it's also saying that if it's not any place else, it's nowhere. So, and I don't know if that was the intent, maybe that was the intent, or maybe that, sometimes you stumble into these things and you don't see all the ramifications, but if you don't, you can say it's not in business yard, but if you don't put it someplace else in this table of uses, then it's
Non-existent.
it's nowhere, right? Which.
Okay, let's get.
Did you have other comments on that, Kevin? Because we didn't really go beyond.
No, I just noticed,
Noticed that, okay.
that part.
Okay.
And I have my flood problem, flood
Yeah.
bylaw problems that I went to the
So
board
we've,
to.
so, I know Kevin's got another issue to bring up, but do we want to ask if there's any more new comments, not rehashing
none.
anything?
Right, yeah, we've gone well past our time allotted, but are there any other new comments regarding the proposed regulations or proposed changes? I'm asking on Zoom.
So then Kevin will have one last one that that's not even new roads.
It's under the public hearing, no?
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
so,
Kevin's got an issue.
I think I've been on the board 17 years, and we never had a flood bylaw permit application come in until this fall with A. Johnson. They wanted to build another kiln, and the whole facility is in the flood, special flood hazard area. And as is so often the case, you don't actually notice a problem with the bylaw until you actually have to apply it. But there we were, looking at our existing bylaw, which is 810, and the statute that talks about flood hazard, but where it is. So the problem is on page 76. So the statute that allows towns, tells towns to regulate, they can regulate flood hazard bylaw, says you have to, this is all comes out of the National Insurance Flood Program, the maps. And so there's a state agency that deals with that, deals with the flood. And the statute in our bylaw says you've got to bounce it off the state. So the way the regs work is any structure in the floodplain is a conditional use, so it has to come to the DRB. There are some open space uses that are permitted by right, but there are very few, agriculture and driveways, it's almost nothing. Everything's conditional use, so everything in the flood zone comes to the DRB as a conditional use. And on page 77, very last paragraph, it says that, we have to, let me back up. The statute says town, either from the zoning administrator or the DRB, has to send the application on to the state for review. And the state has 30 days to comment. The way our bylaw is written, it says the DRB shall send it on to the state for review, which actually doesn't work very well at all, because here we have a hearing. Now and this is what we had to do. We said, well, we conditionally approve it subject to what the state says. Now we have to wait for the state 30 days. And as it turned out, Act 250 changed this site plan. Now I've got to write the decision. I haven't done it yet, but I've talked to the state guy, and I'm just gonna write the decision to apply the amended site plan, because you can't have two different approved plans. You can't have Act 250 plan and town plan that are different. So the solution is and I looked at other towns' bylaws, Middlebury, Manchester, others. They do it the right way, where when the application is complete, the statute, the bylaw needs to say, the zoning administrator shall send the completed application off to the state for review. And the hearing with the DRB needs to be scheduled at least 30 days out. That way, when the DRB meets, we'll know what the state thinks. You know, if the state has some tweaks, we can deal with it right then and there, but as it stands right now, it says the DRB shall send it out, so we have to have a hearing. We send it to the state. What happens when the state comes back with tweaks? We have to have another hearing? You know, it's
It
just,
just makes the process longer.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And confusing.
Yeah, and somewhere in the actual production of section 810, if you look at it, you'll see we've lost the outline structure. There are no letters, so and that's one of the reasons where it refers back, it gets very confusing. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and at the very end, it refers us back on this floodplain thing to section 810, subsection 5 above, and there is no subsection 810, subsection 5 above. Yeah, it's just with the cut and paste, some organization got lost. But, so that part's minor, but it really was driven home with the A. Johnson issue or permit that, wow, this doesn't work at all. And so, you know, we'll do better going forward, and we should clean, that would be substantive, but the board can run that back past the planning commission. The planning commission hopefully will say, yeah, no problem. We've got language from lots of towns that it's really simple. And it's clear, and that would be, not that it comes up a lot, but, well, as it keeps flooding, the state's more concerned about, and stricter, because the feds are more concerned and stricter about flooding than they were in the past. So it's an issue that's gonna has the potential to come around again. So if I'm on the board the next time, I certainly want it to go that way, where first time we have a hearing, we already know what the state thinks. And we can adjust the application as need be.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up.
And Kevin, thank you for your 17 years of service.
Yeah.
I hope it's 17 more
It
years.
might be 16, but I don't.
No, thank you.
And Lathrop decision was 2008, so somewhere before that. So you're welcome, Joel.
Thanks. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions, concerns? Valerie?
Yes, thank you for that. I might have missed it, but did Kevin offer the specific language that we would want to include in an amendment to deal with that?
Yeah, I've given it to Chris, Valerie. I've got the Manchester and Middlebury language works. It says this basically the same thing. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, great. That
But it does need to be,
names changed to protect the
well,
innocent.
the outline structure needs to be revised so that with letters then numbers. So it's internally, we have a roadmap internally that's missing right now, but that part's not substantive.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So anything more on this topic? Not seeing anything. Okay.
Porter just raised your
Oh,
hand.
Porter, raise your hand. Okay.
You're cutting the time frame, Porter. That was close.
Go ahead, Porter.
So am I understanding that this discussion is now over and that it's done, or what happens now?
The public hearing is done.
Correct.
The select board will then review and make whatever recommendations, comments, changes they're gonna make to go back to the planning commission, and then we'll have one more hearing.
Okay, so we'll just look for that on the next planning commission's meeting.
It depends on when we get it done.
Right. We have some options as far as when Valerie outlined some things in the TA report about when we can get it back to the board and then get our recommendations to the board and then have them have their meeting. So we haven't settled on a date just yet. So maybe their next hearing, maybe the following hearing.
Thank you.
Just to, I mean, as far as time is concerned, I suppose we could try to do an odd evening meeting somewhere along, but we typically meet first and third Tuesdays, so with our our regular meeting on the third Tuesday, and then we do additional work or special work on the first Tuesday, so if that fits in with the progress, then I need to get an agenda out prior to that, for that first Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, the board, the way the statute works is the board, the select board, if it's substantive change, the select board says, here's what we think. Planning commission gets to comment within a short period of time. They obviously have to have a public meeting, but they don't have to hold a new hearing and they can just react to what the select board's suggestion is, and they can, and then they report back, say we like it or we don't, or nothing. And then it's back in the select board's lap.
For another hearing.
If there's a substantive change, yeah.
So Kevin, you said you meet the first and third Tuesday? So you have a meeting tomorrow night?
Actually, we're not meeting in December.
He said last.
He did say about
Yeah.
But yeah.
Valerie, is the deadline for this the same as it is for the town report? To get it on the ballot? It's not, is it?
Well, that's an interesting question. Whatever goes on the town report obviously needs to be decided.
Yes. But in order to have this on the ballot in March, does that hearing, do we have to meet the same deadline as the town report? Because it's a separate item.
Yeah, but it has to be part of the warrant.
Right.
So we have to
so-
approve the warrant.
Right.
Yeah,
and she's-
the select board has a number of options through January to hold a hearing if you choose to on any substantive changes. And it depends on the public hearing notice through the Edison Independent, which publishes on Thursdays. So we have to be mindful of their publication schedules. And I outlined it, I outlined that in my TA report.
Yeah.
Of some of the dates that are available. I don't think this coming week is an option.
Yeah.
But other dates through January are an option.
Okay.
And don't we,
But to answer Peter's question more specifically, yes, it does need to be on the town warning, and we need to follow the schedule for the town warning.
Okay.
Sharon?
yeah, the end of January is your deadline for everything that needs to go on the ballot, because it has to go to LHS to be put on the cards that will be used in the tabulator. And we have the ballots have to be here 20 days prior to the town meeting, so you don't have a lot of room.
Okay.
It's a tight
But
timeline.
and if we miss that deadline, then it becomes a special meeting to have these regulations voted on, correct?
Or the
You
primary.
have to have it at a different time, yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Sharon, when you're talking tabulator, that's Australian ballot. Is that right?
Well, isn't this gonna be on the Australian ballot? It's not a floor vote, is it?
Well, that's an interesting question. Is it?
No, I think it would be an Australian ballot.
Yeah,
That's what we've always
it's
done.
always been.
Oh,
done that way.
interesting. Oh, okay. All right. I don't have much experience with this. So
Okay.
Australian ballot, that's good to know.
There is a note in the TA report too that says, under the proposed regulations under the grant program, is actually the deadline is January 31, 2024.
Okay. Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Sharon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Val.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. So is the public hearing closed? Is that correct?
Public hearing is closed.
Okay.
I don't see any more
All right.
comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks all for
Thank you,
coming.
everyone, for attending.
And we have done all of our other regular business. Do we have
I just want to acknowledge the email that we received from Tom Fox asking questions about his questions. Just he was hoping that we would follow up on those things.
Yes.
Not that we need to do that right now, but just acknowledge that he had
Right.
offered that feedback.
We got a new number of emails.
Yeah.
John Moyers, Porter,
Yeah,
Mark Gibson, so yeah.
Yep, I did skip number 4. I apologize. So review of preliminary budget information.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Sorry.
Hang on, bear with me. Let's see.
Are you okay to do this, Val?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question.
Say that again? I didn't hear you.
I said, are you okay to do this?
A little
Sounds like
bit. A little bit. I just, there's, as you know, this is still a work in progress. And Chris is here tonight in the audience that I'm aware that he will give us an update. But one thing I do want to try to share with you, if I can manage to do it, I hope I can, because it's kind of cool. Let me see if I can navigate this, because I'm
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, bye, Kevin.
two screens. I've had some technical issues today, so I've had to reboot a bunch of times. I don't know what I'm doing. Screen share. Let's see if this works. Are you able to see my a budget spreadsheet on your screens?
Yes.
Okay. So what I want to highlight here for you is partly where we are at right now. If you can see these peach colored cells, those are the audit reports that we recently went through. And I think I probably copied most of you, all of you, on our feedback that what the heck. They chose to consolidate a number of budget items into single items that are not really helpful for us as we go through our audit and want to really understand the different components. So
Do we know why they did that?
I was gonna ask that. Did they give a reason or just?
No, not a
Nothing wrong?
satisfactory reason that I can communicate to you. Nothing that makes sense to me. But it is what it is. But they're going to come back. I shared this with them and I told them this is what we want. We want the specific details because this is how we do our budgets, and we want to be able to correlate each line item with the other line items so that we can follow a trend. An historic trend. And you can see there's a bunch of stuff, and there's more. There's a lot more. There's just a lot more of where they consolidated a bunch of stuff.
Did they do that in 2021?
No, not that I'm aware of. And it was different people involved at that time too, because they went through a lot of personal people.
Same company, different employees.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm scrolling down. And where I want to go down is to show you. Here we go. More consolidated stuff. Blah blah blah. More consolidated stuff, which is really not helpful. Very frustrating. As I'm scrolling down, I'm trying not to make you too dizzy as I do this.
Don't worry.
Just don't make yourself dizzy, though.
Right.
I'm sitting down. I'm okay. But what I want to show you is that this is partly good news, that from what we budgeted in 2022, the audited figures show that we came out really ahead in revenues that we had expected. And if the figures are correct, we came in under the expenses that we budgeted for. So those are good. Those are pieces of good news. I just want to say,
are those numbers really right?
well, these are our auditor people. And even though they consolidated a bunch of these categories, we have to believe that ultimately they are meaningful numbers, even if they don't make a lot of sense to us right now. But all in the bottom lines, the numbers are what they are, hopefully, that they're real. And if that's the case, then that's good news that we had more revenues in FY22 than we budgeted for, and fewer expenses in FY22 than we expected. And it's all really good news on the bottom line in terms of undesignated, unassigned fund balance that we might be able to work with. And ordinarily, you can kind of bring that over into the next fiscal year, which we don't typically do as budget line items. they just kind of, I don't know where they go. They just kind of hang out.
Unassigned
There.
funds.
Yeah, they just kind of hang out there somewhere. But what we're finding it though is that with FY23, which is what we're trying to resolve right now, is challenging because there's been a lot of transition. I'm going to scroll back up and just to show you the FY23 actuals that we're trying to work with. But there are a lot of questions and a lot of, well, not right here right now in these when I'm scrolling through, but there are a lot of anomalies in the numbers for FY23 that we need to work through. Just a bunch. I don't need to bore you with all of them, but there's a bunch. And Chris can speak to this more, I think, because he's had more information more recently about how we might deal with this. But we don't really know right now what our FY23 bottom line is, because there are just a lot of weird postings and we just don't know for sure.
Okay. All right, Chris, tell us what's up.
Yeah. Hello, Chris.
So Sharon and I have been working over the last few weeks. We worked with Nemrick, Chip from Nemrick, and we've worked with Jen Myers a few times, who's offered to come in and help us out, try to figure out some of the processes. Because there's pieces where, like today, I had numbers that made no sense, and there was a journal entry that didn't make any sense. We couldn't make heads or tails of it, and she was able to come in and help us with that. But what we've discovered every time we've worked with somebody, as we peel that onion back, it's uglier on the next layer in. It's all the money's there, it's just not assigned correctly. So things like reconciliation hasn't happened since October of 2022. That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
So, and Sharon and I, Jen pointed out today, every time we get a state payment of any level, whether it's a grant, whether it's tax money, whether it's fish and wildlife fees, there's a portal online that we're supposed to go look at and then reconcile that against our ACH deposits from them. Found that out today. It hasn't been done since what, Sharon, October?
October 2022 was the last time it was done.
So
we've got over a year of things that need to be moved around.
So after Sharon and I, after speaking with Jen and Chip had alluded to this as well, what we'd really like to recommend is that the board allows us to hire either Nemrick or whoever they would prefer for a consultant to actually catch us up on our reconciliation.
Like a forensic.
So what'll happen is, the way they explained it is, they would do the reconciliation. So they go through the reconciliation. It's like bouncing your checkbook, but just on a huge scale.
Right.
And they're going to have a handful of anomalies, and they're going to hand those, and they're going to pass those off to Sharon and myself, and we could pull Mark in at that point as well to go figure out what those are. And then we report those back. And at the end of the day, it needs to be a zero. It needs to balance.
Yeah.
Or if not, there has to be a rationale why it doesn't balance. Sometimes you'll run into, like, if payroll happens in the middle, end of the month happens in the middle of the week, that'll throw off your numbers a little bit. But those are easy ones to explain off because they're minimal.
Yeah.
But until we get a base and get everything back to balance, whoever you hire for this treasurer position is going to be set up to fail, hands down. If it was me and I was hired into that, I would leave in a week, because you've got a full-time job just getting caught up. So I haven't been able to get hold of Chip, who was at Nemrick, who would be our starting point for figuring out quote and what we would do and how we could go about this, was out today. So what I'm asking for is permission to move forward, get some numbers. We're on a time crunch because y'all are trying to budget. That's the other part that is not making this any fun for me. But we've discovered, like, which funds is it, Sharon, that we haven't transferred any over yet?
None of the capital funds for the last 2 years at least have been transferred into their accounts, so we have no idea what's in there.
Yeah.
And that's probably true for a lot of the accounts.
I don't think you did.
Okay.
So that's what we're hoping to be able to do, and it's.
So Nemrick is the software company, and it's the software that we use. Is it right for us to hire them to do this, or do we hire an outside or an independent consultant to do this? Like, what is, it sounds like it's an accounting thing versus a software thing, but does Nemrick do that kind of thing because
do
they are? Okay.
Yeah,
It
and
does,
actually,
yep.
that was Jen's recommendation. She
Okay.
said, start with Nemrick, and if Nemrick can do it, that's our best option.
Okay.
If they have the
Yeah,
time.
because Chip has a lot of knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. I wanted to make sure, because I just knew that they were the designers, but if they also support what you do with their software, that makes sense.
Do
Okay.
we know what kind of cost we would incur with that?
We're batting that around. You're probably talking 100 to 150 an hour billing time. How long it would take? As Jen said, it could take 2 hours to actually do the reconciliation and then send us back with 6 or 8 hours worth of legwork. And so we are sitting on, or not we, I guess we as a town, we aren't paying Anthony's salary anymore. We aren't paying a treasurer's salary.
Correct.
So we have that little bit of capital, and it's a little bit for the month that we have left. But apply some of those dollars to try to get the ship righted. And we may
You
find
don't
out.
really have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And it may be also with Nemrick, they get 6 months into it and they've worked with Sharon and I enough, they were able to take that responsibility back because they've got enough base back that we can actually run with this and actually do our jobs.
Honestly, if they're gonna do it, I just have them do it right straight through and get it done.
That's where my preference is.
Just get it.
Yeah,
Okay,
don't
so
get
then-
tangled up
Get
in
it
the
done.
middle.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
Perfect.
fresh.
Keep the same hands in it, get it done to the point where we're
We're
current.
zeros.
I mean, we have the salary line item there that hasn't been used since September, if I recall correctly,
Right.
so.
Okay.
you know.
So.
And if FY '22 is any indicator, we also have a healthy undesignated fund balance, at least from that year, from
Oh, we
revenues.
think we do.
Yeah, from revenues that came in that exceeded what the budgeted expenses were. So there's that.
So because we're using funds, do we need a motion or is it just consensus?
We don't have a number
I would
yet.
recommend a motion
Oh, that's right.
to proceed with any kind of contractual movement.
But it won't be a contractual until we have a number.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Well, I would say just consensus, if that's okay with the board, to
Yeah.
move ahead with this.
Yeah, because we're not meeting for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
we're
we're meeting
meeting
the
from
27th.
Oh, sorry, 7. Yeah.
And I'm
I would say
suggesting
bring us a
that
number.
and on that score, I'm suggesting at the meeting on the, it was at the 27th,
Take this up to
Yeah.
approve.
be
If
something
I-
like
if we have a
4
quorum,
o'clock or something.
Did you approve that on the 27th? So
Yeah.
we can just work rocking as fast as possible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, just make sure. I was like,
I mean, we could, at worst case scenario, Val could send us an email saying, here's the numbers and.
okay.
Right.
14 months, what's another 15 or 16 months? Another 2 more months.
This
Well,
is,
the thing is, it was only
Affects our
done
number.
up in time to get through the 2022 audit.
Yeah.
So we
I mean,
need it before we
this-
can do the 2023 audit.
these grades are getting
I
rated
like it.
each week right now.
I mean, I would like it for doing budget, and when they come in and say, well, it says you've spent $2,500 on guardrails there. Well, did you really, or did you just get coded wrong? You
Well,
know?
that's what they'll be able to tell us.
Right, and that's what should be occurring once a month.
Of course.
And that's what the reconciliation does for us. Once we get caught up, it's really a 1 day, 2 day process for the department to be able to do in the future, so, but once we get caught up. But like I said, every time, we're like, oh, look, help us fix this, and they're like, yeah, but you need to fix this, and this, and this, and I was like, I don't even know how to fix any of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, so I would say consensus to sort of look into this and then to bring us.
Yeah, all we need is a number to approve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so Chris,
we
you go ahead
definitely
and
Sticking the finger in the
move
dam,
forward that.
stop one leak, and then it comes out another
Yeah.
place. Kind of like our water system, we fix one pipe one.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for your work
Thanks,
on all
Chris.
of that.
Thank you,
too.
Sharon.
And Sharon, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon and Chris.
So what we're
Thank
talking
you.
about bringing a number to improve, are we talking about the short meeting on the 27th or in February?
Yes, yes.
27th.
Yes, what?
Yes, the 27th.
Okay, so there'll be an agenda item at 4 o'clock on
If you could.
February 27th to approve whatever budget number it is.
4 o'clock.
And I'm just spitballing the 4 o'clock, 'cause that seems to be a fairly convenient.
4 o'clock on the 27th?
What time on the 27th,
Yeah, what are you
Bill?
talking
7
about?
o'clock
Yeah,
or 6
7
o'clock, whatever.
Well, for a 5-minute meeting, I was thinking it would be during the
No,
day.
'cause it's not a 5-minute meeting. It's a special meeting.
Okay, all right.
You're thinking it was only gonna be 5 minutes because we're just doing the
You're
warrant.
just
and,
signing the warrants. We have to
Yeah,
have a meeting.
that was the idea. The folks would just come in during the day.
That's all I
Sorry.
have to do.
But that doesn't mean you have to be here, Val.
No, of course not. But there
It
needs
would
to
work
be
better for
notice.
me, because I have another meeting that night. It wouldn't.
So I was
And
thinking
just
4 o'clock would be kind of a target date for that kind of thing. And
Well, I'll be working then, so you guys will just have to do it without me then.
Well, if you do it at 7, you're gonna do it without me, because I think I'm in Fairhaven that night. Taking it
Okay.
over to 5
We'll
o'clock.
figure
Well,
it
you
out.
guys can do it at 4.
So
And I'm gonna
question
be-
for you all
well,
on the
And I'm gonna be,
numbers
I'm
from
gonna try
Emmer.
to call in.
Is
Call
a
in,
not to
put you on
exceed
speaker.
quote adequate?
Yeah.
You have the
Okay.
number?
You don't need it right down, it's gonna be 72
No,
hours.
I think a not to exceed is fine.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thank you all
Chris.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay. So we'll figure out that time.
I don't have.
989.
Okay.
what next?
That's it for our agenda. Do we have an executive session?
I really don't think so, other than figuring out this time for this special meeting on the 27th.
So the special meeting is 2 things. It's the warrant approval, and it's now the approval for the specialist to do work with the NEMRIC system. Is that correct?
Reconciling.
Reconciliation.
So while we're on that topic, what are we gonna do with the zoning stuff? When are we gonna talk about that?
Well, yeah, there's that too, right?
So that's where it's the 27th, maybe even longer than that if we're gonna.
Well,
do it
yeah,
then.
you may want, that's a
Time for
Wednesday
us.
night. That's a Wednesday night.
Yeah, I understand that.
So Joel said he wouldn't be available.
I'm pretty sure I'm in Fairhaven that night.
Okay, Peter, you said you have another meeting?
I have another meeting, but it's not critical that I be there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna be in Maine, but I plan to call in. I won't have internet
Oh,
access,
that's fine, okay,
but I plan to call in.
okay.
Might wanna take
So
the shelf.
we gotta have at least 3 of us sign orders.
I mean, I may call in from Fairhaven.
Huh?
I'll be around.
Yeah.
You'll be in the old chair, you can,
I mean,
if I'm not
you're
here,
gonna do
Barla's
it-
not here, probably should.
If you're gonna do it at 4, I just need to know so I can
Right.
be here.
I'll send you all an email and Valerie tomorrow morning. I think I have leave time at Mount Ames at 5 o'clock, so if it was a quick meeting, I could be here at 4 o'clock to do.
Yeah, but if we decide we're going over the regs, you wanna be involved in
It
that.
won't be a quick meeting, if we're talking.
If we're gonna
about
talk about
Yeah,
those.
that's a much larger discussion.
But we're, you know,
So do we wanna do it at 6 PM on the Wednesday?
he's gonna be gone.
Let
He'll be
Right,
gone.
no, I
let
know.
me check my schedule first.
Yeah.
And Darla won't be here either. She won't be
But
here
you
in
can
We're
call.
both
I
gonna
won't be
call
here in
in.
person,
Should be
but
on the phone.
But if I can do it at 4, I just need to know what time I have to leave work.
Right.
4 would actually be better for me from what I'm doing up there, so. But it doesn't, I can make it work.
But if we're missing board members, I don't think we can
Yeah,
discuss that.
probably not.
I think we need all of us
Well, I
here
know.
to talk about that. So we can't be at that meeting, so it's that.
Well,
is in-
So we can decide then whether we need to have another special meeting.
Okay.
We get that $5 figure, you're a very special meeting.
Can.
You want it to be at 4, or would you prefer it to be?
No, I don't
later?
care, I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, if we're just signing the
Yeah.
warrants,
And talking about the
Yeah.
NEMRIC thing.
yeah.
Is 4 okay then? Because I'm fine with
Yeah,
4.
I'll just,
Just
Yeah.
stopping.
Make-
So
I think
4,
I'm taking the afternoon off anyway.
I think it's 4 PM is fine on the 27th, Val.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Is that
And the
everything
thinking there was that the office would still be open in case anybody wanted to actually show up,
then?
that kind of stuff.
Do a meeting at 4?
It's his birthday that week.
Oh, great.
Speakers?
Yeah.
Michelle's gonna be bringing cupcakes. I just wanna.
31st?
Well, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
29th.
After Peter.
Okay.
Okay,
Anything else, Darrell?
Peter.
that is everything on our list.
Okay.
Did
I
we-
will
I make a motion that
to
Valerie
adjourn.
go straight to bed, drink
Second.
plenty of fluids and
Yeah.
rest, the doctor, and adjourn.
Close enough.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Did we, was there just,
you.
Yes.
Thank you,
Wait a minute,
everyone.
Sally wants to say something.
Was there, I must have missed something. Was there a conversation about when to discuss the zoning stuff?
We'll discuss it on the 27th.
27th as to
Okay.
when we're gonna discuss it.
Yes.
Okay, well, there's not that much time, so look through my tier report on the timelines for publishing the hearing notice.
It might be a special meeting,
Oh,
another special meeting.
no doubt it will be at this point. But,
Okay.
but still, look through the notes on the hearing notice dates.
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
all right.
okay.
So we did a motion second. All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye, to adjourn.
Okay, good night. Thank you,
Bye, Val.
everyone.
Thank you, John.
Bye, Jerry.
everybody. Happy holidays.
Thanks,
Yes.
Val. Bye, Val.
Bye,
Bye,
Val.
Val.
Feel better.
Yeah, rest.